You want answers?
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
You want answers?
You have offended my family.
I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth.
And you have offended the Shaolin Temple.
You can't handle the truth.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Radical Rant.
All right, again, apologies for folks who tuned in earlier trying to get the Dr. Mitch interview. I don't know what's going on. We'll get in touch with Mitch. I'm sure it's something very reasonable. And we'll have him on next week's show, so stay tuned for that. But for today's Radical Rant, I want to take a look at this piece that came up in the San Jose Mercury News. And thanks to Rolla J for forwarding this to me. It's typical reefer, more reefer madness here, and now it's coming out with respect to the concentrates, the BHOs, right? So the headline is, let's come back up this, North Bay officials, North Bay officials, little known locally about earwax marijuana. Yeah, watch out for the earwax marijuana. All right, so let me just read to you some of the reefer madness. We'll set the tone for you. Let's see. 2 minutes after taking a 5-second hit from a vaporizer, Josh felt the effects of earwax marijuana rushing over him. I felt like I was gonna die, the 17-year-old recalled. The movie we were watching started to look 3D. I kept seeing lights. What the others in the group Josh was with had failed to tell him when they offered the drug to him was that earwax marijuana can include up to 90% THC. In short, it's highly hallucinogenic, and knowledgeable sources say it can be very dangerous to certain people. The night Josh was under the drug's influence, someone telephoned Rhonda, Josh's grandmother. She picked him up and drove him to the hospital, where his hands were handcuffed to the bed rails, and he was later arrested. The effects of the drug didn't end with Josh's arrest. The earwax was so intense that Josh's high lasted 3 days, all of which he spent in juvenile hall. A year of probation and $7,000 in fines later, Josh is just beginning to get over the experience. And what's worse, say some experts, the cannabis plant itself, whether an earwax variety or other type, is now bred to be increasingly potent. Christine DeClue, a Solano County Alcohol and Drug Advisory Board member, said marijuana has come a long way since the days of hippies and disco. Quote, in the 1970s, people were primarily smoking the leaves of the plant, DeClue said. Now users are smoking the more potent buds of the plant, end quote. DeClue is also concerned that the starting age for many marijuana smokers has also changed. Where most in the 1960s might have started while in college, today, children as young as 12 are experimenting, which can result in long-term damage. Andy Williamson, a substance abuse administrator in Solano County, said using marijuana before age 25 can lower a person's IQ by up to 8 points, since a young individual's brain is still developing. What disturbed Rhonda the most was not that earwax exists, but the recipes are so easy to find, and not one video explains the high THC content or the potential risks. All right, let's see if we can give Rhonda DeClue. Let's just see if we can talk about this. First of all, I want to know what they're selling for earwax in San Jose that gets you high for 3 days. Because if you got that, I need to make some arrangements. 3 days, really. Could it be possibly that when someone has a bad reaction to some potent dab there, potent earwax, and then you freak them out over it, you slap cuffs on them, you rush them to a hospital, you're all in a panic. Do you think maybe that has a little something to do with it as well? Maybe exacerbating the situation here? This is one of the effects of marijuana prohibition, and just drug prohibition in general, that always bothers me. And that is a failure to recognize the fact that, there's a thing among us that have done some of these substances that it goes like this. Hey man, It's okay. You're just on drugs, just having a bad trip. Chill out, relax, drink some water. Everything's going to be okay. And that probably would have done so much more for this kid than rushing him to the hospital, slapping cuffs on him, arresting him, forcing him to go through all of these, juvenile hall, forcing him to go through the meetings and the probation and all, of course, the fees that this kid has to pay. The story goes on to talk about how this now turning 18-year-old kid is having to pay back his grandma for all the bail money and for all of the fees for the drug testing and the fees for the counseling and the fees for this and that. And so Josh says, this is the kid, he's turned 18. He'll turn his advice to others to take marijuana more seriously. Quote, "What people are telling me is that marijuana is not a drug, that it's just an herb. That's bullshit. If it gets you high, it's a drug, so don't do it." Well, Josh, it being illegal didn't stop you from doing it. Okay? The problem with the illegality is what needs to be solved here. No one's saying that 17-year-olds should be doing earwax. But the idea that you would want to take that option away from adults, especially a lot of these adults who are medical users who need a very potent, very fast action solution like that, like these concentrates. I know so many people that don't have the time and have too much of a tolerance to be sitting there doing vapor bag after vapor bag or smoking joint after joint. They need some of these concentrates. Now, I agree with Rhonda in that the videos that are showing these kids how to pack tubes and blast, some BHO are doing more harm than good. This should be done by experts in, well-regulated conditions. But again, that's a problem of the prohibition. We had stills blowing up in Appalachia during prohibition. Same concept here. If BHO were being made in a legal environment where it were regulated, tested, labeled, where there would be warnings as to potency, we'd have so many fewer problems with it. And that's all the time we got here for Hour 1. Hour 2, we are going to show the panel featuring Sir Richard Branson and Chris Coleman, the mayor of St. Paul, Minnesota. For Left Wing, there I am, Radical Russ. Thanks for joining us, and until next time, take care of each other, tokers.
This is the Russ Belville Show. The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at radicalruss.com.
You plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it,